Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories.
Case file number 1060, written by Scarcity Upper 2939. When the universe helps you ace an exam. Some time ago, I had to take a pretty important exam in a different school, with teachers I never met before. The curriculum was given, but we all had to pull a paper, and the one we got was our topic for the exam. There I was, second in line, when I heard a voice. Pull the first one. I instantly froze on the spot, trying to put up a nothing is wrong at all poker face. I thought back, what? Pull the first one. But why? Pull it. Okay, I'm doing it. So as soon as I could, I went and grabbed the first paper and stood there in full surprise. This was an advanced level exam, but this question was super easy. Like I felt I'm having a pleasant chat and not an important exam. I had no idea this was even part of this curriculum and did an effortless 100%. So no idea what happened there, and it was a one-time occasion. But damn was I happy to have listened to that voice.
Case notes for the file 1060. When the universe helps you ace an exam. So was this information given to you by a higher level function of the universe itself, and then just decoded in your subconscious and then passed down to the conscious element via a voice in the head? That's how your brain interpreted and presented it to you, the conscious, you? Or is it some other entity present that knew you'd find an easy and guided answer if you just went with the first page? Why would they care? Was it some spirit that knew you? I think that's less likely. I think it's much more likely that the universe itself, or some higher level moderator, is probably the best word to use, wanted you to succeed. For whatever reason. I don't know what you were studying, but maybe it was important that you passed. That's my guess. So I'll swing with the former.
Case file number 1061, written by TaniaHylian. The night I stepped into a different bathroom dimension. Last winter, I, 27 female, went on vacation with my mom to a small town in the middle of a huge ecological park, consisting of kilometers upon kilometers of desert. It wasn't our first time visiting there. We just love how calm and quiet it is, the beautiful scenery, and the kind people who live in that town. Since it's a very small town, there's only one hotel with 5 rooms and 3 bathrooms. 2 of the 3 bathrooms are inside the restaurant that's attached to the hotel, and to get to them from any of the rooms, you have to pass through various sets of doors. Because of this, at night, we only used the other bathroom, which was a metal door on the other side of a small patio. I remember that on the first day at the hotel, I went to the bathroom, and when I tried to close the door, I couldn't close it fully because there was a crack on the wall the door was attached to. There had been an earthquake a few years prior, which was probably the culprit for this crack since the last time we'd stayed at that hotel, many years ago, it wasn't there. As a result, we had to tie a string from the lock to a nail in a wall inside the bathroom to close it, and even then it never fully closed. It annoyed me, but we weren't paying much, and we were the only ones staying at the hotel anyways. Now here's how the glitch happened. It was our 3rd day staying at the hotel. And we had just come back from a walk up a nearby mountain. Very small, the walk barely lasted an hour. It was still fairly early at night, around 10 p.m., and my mom said she was going to get ready for bed. I told her to go ahead because I wanted to stargaze for a little while, taking advantage of the cloudless sky. I did so for about half an hour or so, before deciding it was time to get ready for bed as well. I went to our room, got my toothbrush and toothpaste, and then went to the bathroom. As soon as I stepped inside, everything felt off. I reached for the light switch, but it wasn't there. I searched for it to no avail, and then, when my eyes got used to the darkness, I saw it was on the opposite wall, the one that had a crack. Except when I turned on the light, I realized there was no crack. As such, I was able to close the door perfectly, and there was no string or nail to tie it in place. It was as if it was an entirely different bathroom, but everything else was the same. The tiles on the walls, the slightly rusted mirror, the cheap-looking head shower, the white sink with the pink soap. Everything was the same as I remembered except for the cracked wall and the light switch. It was as if, for the time I took to wash my teeth, I was in an alternate timeline in which the earthquake didn't happen, the wall didn't crack, and the light switch wasn't moved to another wall. It was a very surreal experience, and the more I stayed there, the more nervous I became, so I hurried up, turned off the light, and pretty much sprinted towards my room. My mom was already asleep, so I decided not to bother her, but it took a while before I could sleep because I was feeling very unnerved. The next day, with the sun now illuminating everything, I went back to check on the bathroom that had scared me so much the previous night, but it was exactly as it should be, crack and all.
Case notes for file 1061. The night I stepped into a different bathroom dimension. So I'll call this multiversal visitation. More than just peering, as you touched the wall in this parallel reality, you felt the differences, the cracks and all of that, and the lack of a nail. Is there a force that flows through the universe that when you cross it or interact with it, enables this kind of sightseeing or temporary crossover? And it was an actual crossover because you touched everything in the bathroom and used the bathroom itself. Thing is, it has to be bound with the planet itself. This force or portal, whatever you want to call it, because the planet is orbiting our sun, which is also orbiting the center of our galaxy, which itself is also in movement related to the local cluster, other galaxies, and so on. So, absolute movement, in terms of space-time coordinates, one to the next, we're moving so fast and it's such an, predictable but crazy pattern. We're never in the same space-time coordinates ever again. And given that, whatever is affecting this has to be bound to us, to the planet. So it's bound by gravity, whatever it is, or it's literally implanted within the space-time fabric. The only other possibility is that these things are peppered all throughout the universe, and we're just crossing into them sometimes, and then they just happen to cross in that exact moment, in that thin little crust layer on the planet's surface where we are, and then that's how this happens. They must be everywhere, though, if that's the case, because space is insanely huge, as most people know now.
Creepy file number 88, written by Jesse B21, A Dog's Intuition, How My Pomeranian Detected a Threat. This was in 2011, a year after I'd, female 22 at the time, graduated college. I was living in my first apartment with a friend. I had adopted the sweetest dog I'd ever had, a runt of the litter Pomeranian who literally loved every person she ever met. My nephew was young at the time and would sometimes handle her a little roughly. Sweet kid, and we'd correct him. But he didn't quite realize how little she was under all that fur, and she tolerated it without ever nipping or anything. One day, my roommate was gone and there was a knock at the door. It was a handyman who said he was there for an annual check on appliances. He was wearing the apartment complex's standard uniform and had a badge, so I didn't even really think twice about it. And upon follow-up, he really did work there, even though I hadn't been notified this would be happening. He comes in and begins chatting and sort of leering. Felt uncomfortable, but not nearly as freaked out as when my dog came rushing in between us, ears back, teeth bared, and started growling at him. He kind of awkwardly laughed and went to pet her, a weird choice for a dog that is baring its teeth at you, and she immediately lunged forward like she was going to bite him. He leapt back before she could. Tiny dog, large man, but he was obviously freaked out. At this point, she is straight up barking at him. He asked if I could put her away while he worked, and I lied and said she had separation anxiety, so I recommended he'd come back another time when I could walk her, or when my roommate was there so one of us could be in a room with her. He never did come back. My dog lived another 7 years, and not once did she ever growl at another human, let alone try to bite one. You hear about dogs being able to read people, so I don't know if he would have done anything to me while on company hours. I still think she could sense he wasn't a good person. She was my good girl.
Case notes for the creepy file number 88. A Dog's Intuition, How My Pomeranian Detected a Threat. So dogs, cats too, as much as I hate to admit it, do have a strong sense of a person. Is it just raw intuition on their part, or an ability to sense our aura, so to speak? And does our aura reflect our actions and intent? It's rather fascinating to think about, the notion that we're surrounded by an invisible field of energy that represents good and evil. Kind of like in Harry Potter, where the Death Eaters are all in black and the Order members are in white. Which I think a bit on the nose in that, but along those lines, I guess. Also, I did work at a Humane Society kennel over a decade ago down in Florida the first time I went there. And let me tell you, those tiny little dogs, the Chihuahuas especially, they are the fiercest. I guess they have something to prove. And now time for the quote of the day. Nobody's gonna hit you as hard as life. But it ain't how hard you can hit. It's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It's how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Perseverance. Rocky Balboa, of course. Love this quote, love the movie. It's all about realizing that you're gonna get hit, you're gonna take damage, there's gonna be pain, but that's okay. No pain, no gain, as they say, right? So take the pain, get back up, dust yourself off, get knocked out again, and then just keep doing it until eventually you succeed, because you will eventually. Like the video, subscribe. Kinetic Symphony signing off.